Welcome in. This is our take two. We have some technical problems here, so we're going to do our best. You'll notice sitting next to me is not Matt Hanrahan. It's not Matt Curtis. It is our general manager, Larry Kendrick. How are you, Larry?
Good.
Larry is filling in today. The normal hosts aren't able to make it, so the next most knowledgeable person in the building when it comes to football, although he is a Rams fan.
That's not how it went, trust me. When you come to my office 10 minutes before the show and said, I need somebody bad.
I need a co-host, and he's the general manager, so what do you think is going to happen? So, if you haven't watched this before, what we do is we go through all of the NFL football games this week and give you our opinion on what we think is going to happen. Usually there's a couple of buys. This week there are no buys. Those were all done and in the past, so every week it's a full slate. We'll go through about 10 of the games seriously, and then we'll rapid fire some of them at the end. We always save the Raiders and the Cardinals games for last, and then right after them we'll go into rapid fire. So, you good?
Let's do this.
All set? All right, here we go. We're going to start off with tonight's game. Tonight's game is the Kansas City Chiefs at the Chargers. The Chiefs last week pounded the Raiders after the Raiders kind of mocked them a little bit. They did a victory lap around their stadium, and then they stomped on the logo. First play from scrimmage, Raiders fumble, Chiefs run it in for a touchdown, and the route was on. They ended up winning 48-9. Chargers beat the Giants 37-21, but everybody beats the Giants 37-21.
I don't put much behind that.
No. So what we've got here is we have the Chiefs, who has over the last 3 years probably have been this offensive juggernaut. And even though they put up 48 points last week, really the last 6 weeks where they've been coming on stronger and stronger again has been their defense.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I think the offense is starting to catch up now too. Yeah. So I would have to say that I think the Chiefs are probably the number one team on the AFC moving forward.
On the AFC? Yeah.
Yes.
Because of how well they've been playing lately.
Yeah. I think the offense was struggling quite a bit, but in the last 2 or 3 weeks, I think they started finding their groove there as well. So.
Yeah, and I think the Chargers, with Justin Herbert and with Austin Eckler, the running back, I think that they played really well. I really like Justin Herbert. It's funny because when you watch Herbert play, even though he's much more mobile, I see Phillip Rivers, and it's kind of weird. It's the Chargers. He's not throwing for 500 yards a game and 4 touchdowns or whatever. He's just really efficient. He does what he needs to do, and they win. But the way the Chiefs have been playing lately on defense, I don't know that Herbert's going to be able to.
Yeah, I don't. I haven't completely bought in on Justin Herbert yet, but he only doesn't. He doesn't remind me of Rivers only because he doesn't throw near as many interceptions as he does, or sidearm as well. But no, I think he's solid. I think right now that the Chiefs are going to get on a roll, and I think that roll will continue all the way through into the playoffs.
Yeah. Too tough. So that's tonight. So we both got the Chiefs?
No, definitely Chiefs.
All right.
To cover even. So.
The 3.5? Yeah, I would say that's probably pretty safe. All right. Next up, we got the Patriots at the Colts. It's been longer than that. 7, 8, 9 years ago, this would have been the marquee game. You would have had Peyton Manning and Tom Brady, and this would have been the clash. It's still probably going to be a fairly close game, I would guess. You got the Patriots. Both of them coming off of buys. The Patriots, the last time we saw them, they were throwing the ball 3 times in the whole game.
Sounds familiar. Sounds like when Brady was in his rookie season, pretty much very similar. It's eerie to think that this may be the second coming of Tom Brady, but I like Mac Jones. He doesn't make mistakes. He's smart. He's intelligent. He doesn't have the biggest arm, but he seems to get the job done. So,
on the other side, you have Carson Wentz, and Carson Wentz has been up and down and all that stuff. But I think really the key behind the Colts is Jonathan Taylor. Jonathan Taylor,
he's a beast.
Yeah, and it's taken him a couple of years to really become that guy that he was back in college. But this year, he's just. It seems like he scores every time he touches the ball. Yeah,
my concern with that is when you ride somebody that hard, how long do they last? And he was rode pretty hard at Wisconsin. I believe he come out of as well. And
he had like 35 times a game.
Yeah. So I was always worried about him even having anything in the tank when he got into the NFL, but obviously he does. He's performed very well. So
my worry about this is that first of all, you give Bill Belichick 2 weeks to prepare, and he has always shown that. he will look at a team and go, all right, this is the guy that we need to stop.
No.
And if you look at the Colts, Jonathan Taylor is the guy you need to stop. If you stop them, you stop their offense, period.
Yeah, early on, the Colts were a little pass happy early in the year. They got beat by some not so good teams. I know the Rams got past them. But I think they're a little different as well now. But they've found out what their true go-to is, and that is obviously Jonathan Taylor. So.
Yeah.
Tough one to pick.
Yeah?
Yeah. I'm not sold on the Patriots, but you know what? Every time they find a way to win. So I'm not gonna buck that. I'm still gonna go with the Patriots on this one.
Colts are 1.5-point favorites. To me, you gave him 2 weeks to prepare. I don't know that the Patriots are a better team, but I guarantee you they're better coached with Belichick out there, and you gave them 2 weeks to prepare a way to attack that Colts defense.
I don't know if this is an upset, but I think I take the Patriots on this one.
All right.
Yeah.
This one, I don't know why I left this one in here. This I really think is going to be a yawner, but I couldn't.
Jets. I mean,
Jets at the Dolphins.
Yeah, even the Dolphins, I'm not a big fan of. Tua come out of college, I thought he was going to do something special. I mean, if you have to depend on his arm in a game, you're going to be in trouble.
That's what I think.
I mean, I don't know that he can carry a team.
Not yet.
I don't know if he'll ever carry a team. Now their defense is playing well. They've got on a winning streak too. But is it real for real? Against the Jets, I would say it's for real. But
yeah.
But anything else, I'm not buying into it yet.
All right. The Jets got smoked last week by the Saints. The Dolphins are on a 5-game winning streak. They've actually been looking They've been looking well. They've been looking good.
Are they going to fall asleep on this one?
I could see them overlooking it. Yeah. But I lived down in South Florida for a while, and the Dolphins just hate the Jets. I don't know what it is. I don't know if somebody owes somebody some money or has some photos or what. I don't know what it is, but the Dolphins just hate the Jets. It's like the Packers Bears or Michigan Ohio State.
They are in the same. I don't know how they end up in the same division. We're talking about East Coast,
New York,
but certainly, yes.
But
I think we've already spent too much time on it, honestly.
I agree. What did you decide?
Oh, it's Dolphins. Dolphins.
Is it?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they'll walk away with it. At home? Yeah. Okay.
I agree.
Yeah. You're not going to step out on a limb?
I don't think the Jets are horrible, but I don't think that I think the Dolphins are playing too well. I think the Dolphins have kind of figured out what their lane is, and they're doing it, and I'm going to take the Dolphins. I think 7 is too much.
Okay.
I'm thinking it's a 3 or 4 point game.
I don't think it's that close. I think the Jets are playing flat, and they're going to stay flat.
They did get whooped by the Saints.
Yes.
Yeah, 3 touchdowns. All right, I'm going to rethink that one.
Okay,
but I'm going to take the Dolphins, though.
I think that's safe.
I'm going to rethink betting it, though.
Do you ever take anything other than the favorites, or do you ever step out on a limb? I know you.
Right here,
I know you're always like, think the Packers are going to get beat. Even
I do.
But
I do. And
okay.
I've been wrong 10 times.
That's not bad, though.
That's the number 1 team.
That's usually what I'll do. I'll pick against the Rams, just hoping that they'll win. Yeah.
And if they lose, you'll be like, see, told you.
Yep.
Told you I was right.
Okay.
All right, next up. This, I think, will be a fun game. Washington football team at the Eagles. Washington barely lost to Dallas. And I don't know if you can put a whole lot into that because that's a division game and there's a lot of fighting there. Eagles had a bye.
They were literally fighting.
Yeah, literally fighting, yeah. This is Jalen Hurts against Taylor Heineke. Maybe Taylor Heineke, he might be out. I haven't been impressed by Jalen Hurts. I've actually been more impressed with Heineke this year.
Yeah, he's out of Old Dominion, I believe, isn't he?
Yeah,
I remember that. One of my good friends is coming out here. He went to Old Dominion, so he's actually lives in Washington, D.C., and is an Old Dominion alumni, so he's in love with this guy.
He's got a Heineke jersey?
Yeah, I'm sure he does. It's going to be embarrassing if he shows up with it, but that's where I think he's at. So
Washington has struck me as a team that doesn't really impress, although they got a great defense, even without Chase Young over there, which I don't understand. You lose somebody like Chase Young, it'd be like you guys losing Aaron Donald,
Yeah, their defense is still tough.
Yeah.
I mean, they're stout all the way through. They've got 2 or 3 first-round picks on that side. So
they've got the Eagles. The experts have the Eagles as a favorite.
I don't see it. I
agree. I don't. You know what? I think that Jalen Hurts has done enough to win games here and there. Their defense isn't anything special. And then you've got the Washington defense getting after them pretty hard.
And I'm not going to Taylor Heineke, he's a fighter. I mean, you can see he's one of those tough guys that just is relentless. You can beat him up. He's going to find a way to win. I think he pulls it out for him.
I agree.
Okay, let's rock and roll with it.
Also not the favorite.
Also not the favorite.
Two out of 4
starting to wear off on you. I see a little bit. That's good. That's good.
All right. We both got Washington.
Both have Washington.
All right. Titans at the Steelers. Two so disappointing teams this year. I mean, Titans, you can kind of give them a little break because they lost their stud running back. Steelers just have been terrible. They beat the Vikings last week. Or they lost to the Vikings last week, and early in the game, it was a blowout. They came back to make it respectable, 36-28.
I think the Steelers won that game, actually, right?
No, Vikings won the game.
You got it,
Vikings, yeah. And then, but the Vikings were way up. The Vikings were up by like 24 or 26 or something like that.
That's another team I can't get my finger on. But yeah, the Steelers, you know, it's maybe Ben Roethlisberger's last year. He's starting to play like it. You know, I don't think their defense is near as solid as it used to be. Titans are tough. I mean, if they decide to do what they do well, they're tough to beat. You know.
All right, so the Titans, with all the injuries and all the problems that Pittsburgh has had on their side, on the offensive side, they have had to rely on Najee Harris, their rookie running back. The Titans have the number 2 ranked run defense in the NFL. So Najee Harris, the one bright spot on the whole Pittsburgh offense, they're gonna take him out of the game.
I think so too.
I like Tannehill, the Titans quarterback. I think that he's a serviceable guy.
That's the word I was going to use as well. Serviceable.
Yeah, you don't need to win the game. Just don't lose it for us. And I think that Pittsburgh is just going to struggle so bad trying to move the ball at all.
Well, I'm surprised they even come back as well as they did on the Vikings, because once they get behind, you have to depend on Roethlisberger. Their offensive line is not capable of protecting them at this point. So I mean, it's.
And that's the thing with going back to the Viking game. The Vikings are really good at getting after the quarterback. So with him not being mobile and having a terrible offensive line, I think it spells a really bad day for the Steelers.
So I think we're both on Tennessee on this one then.
Yeah. Who's the favorite on this?
Tennessee's favorite by 2.5. Yeah. I think they cover that.
Yeah, I agree. Easily.
I don't think either one of them goes over 30, but I think they cover.
I would be surprised if Pittsburgh goes over 14. I don't even know what the over and under is on it, but I don't think Pittsburgh's just going to be able to move the ball at all. And maybe they get some points in garbage time to close it up. We'll see. All right. Bengals at the Broncos. Bengals lost to the Niners last week, 26-23.
Yeah, I was rooting for the Bengals in that one.
Yeah, that was a good game. That was a nice close game.
Yeah, went into overtime. They had a shot. I mean, they had a couple opportunities, and even in regulation, but
couldn't get it done.
No.
Broncos with the Lions again. Who hasn't? They 1-11.
So who are the Broncos exactly? I mean, they start out hot, you know, then they run into a cold streak, and then all of a sudden they're starting to be competitive again.
Well, I can tell you what happened. They were hot against some bad teams. Then they got cold. Then they got rid of that Von Miller guy. Shuffled him off to somewhere.
4-4 at that point. I know the story. Yeah.
And then suddenly the Broncos are world beaters again.
I think what the team said is what I recall is that once they realized that their main guy was gone, that they all had to step up. I don't know why people don't step up when they have that. Yeah. Prior to that, but they all felt like they had to all buy in and pick up the slack, and all of a sudden they start acting as a complete defense instead of waiting on one guy to do it. So
yeah. I think that Cincinnati last week had such a disappointing. You know, in 49ers, you can think what you want about the 49ers. Some people are convinced that they're a top tier team. I'm not yet, until they're consistently winning. But the fact is, I believe that Cincinnati should have won that game last week, and I think Cincinnati comes out this week with a vengeance and just.
I'm on the same page. I think the Bengals go into Denver. They're not affected by the cold air, or the snow, anything like that. It's they're a cold weather team too. Yeah. I think they go in, and I think they take care of business.
Are you a Joe Burrow fan?
I haven't bought into him quite completely yet either, but
No?
I mean, he has moments. He looks really good, but he's young. It's only second year, and I think when he only he played about half a season last year before he got hurt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
So
they've got Joe Mixon out there. They've got a tough running offense. They've got I think Joe Burrow is a pretty smart quarterback. He still makes mistakes. Obviously, he's young, but I think that when you're talking about rounded team, I think Cincinnati.
yeah. I think they just they make enough mistakes to hurt themselves and get in trouble. They stay out of mistakes. I think they'll be fine. Yes,
All right. So, talking about playing mistake-free.
there is a team that does that. Yes.
That if they play mistake-free, they are, and I said this early in the season, I think that they're, for a long time, I thought they were the best team in football. They've had some troubles. I still think that when they play mistake-free, they're one of the 3 or 4 best teams in football. That is your Los Angeles Rams. They are hosting the Seattle Seahawks. Seahawks beat the Texans 33-13. They've been on a little bit of a roll. Russell Wilson came back and they didn't play very well. And then over the last 2 or 3 games, Russell Wilson has really been playing well. And then you have the Rams, who played maybe their best game of the year.
By far against the Cardinals.
Beat the Cardinals by a touchdown.
Russell Wilson scares me. He can take. He's a lot. Of course, Kyler Miller's the same way. He can take nothing and turn it into something.
Yeah.
It always scares him. But we've kind of had his number. I mean, he's had some. He's got 99 painted on his chest a number of times. I think more than any other quarterback for Aaron Donald. But they should take this one. They should win. If they play anything like they did, they don't turn the ball over. We had three weeks of interceptions returned for touchdowns.
Big sixes.
I don't know what that was all about. I think Stafford's definitely better than that. I don't know if COVID's going to be a big problem for us. We've got 13, 14 players out, I believe, at this point.
Yeah, I've got 13.
13. So, they got by the Cardinals with a couple million people out. They should still handle their business. I think Aaron Donald still has another big game. I look for Von Miller to finally do something as well. So, I mean, absolutely, Von Miller. So,
all right, so they played earlier in the year. I was talking to somebody the other day about it. When you had the Legion of Boom and the Rams were, Seattle would come in and the Rams would pound them.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't. The Seattle could be undefeated, come in and play the Rams, and the Rams would beat them. For some reason, they've always had their number. They played earlier this year. The Rams beat them 26-17. I think the Rams over the last couple of weeks are playing better than they have, especially last week against the Cardinals. I don't know if they're going to have a big
let down.
Yeah, that could either be a big confidence boost for
Sure.
them, or it could be a hey, we're so great, and then
My biggest concern, obviously, Rashard Penny just come off a big game for the Seahawks, and he has the capability to. They could run it right on the Rams' throats. So, I mean, we've seen that the teams that are very aggressive and play a rough game can put it to the Rams. So the Titans done it, the 49ers done it. So we'll see. I still have to take the Rams after last week's performance. You think that they're going to put it all together, but you never know. It's a divisional game. So
I think one of the things that I'm really interested in to see is if Jalen Ramsey ends up playing. If Jalen Ramsey gets cleared before the game, because it seems to me that when Seattle is successful, it's when Russell Wilson is throwing 40-yarders to Tyler Lockett or
Metcalf,
another downfield stretching the field out, getting those linebackers back on their heels, and then running the game with Penny or whoever.
I suspect this will be a high-scoring game. I wouldn't be surprised to see both teams in the 30s, high 20s.
Yeah, Seattle's defense is nothing special anymore, and the Rams can score points at will, it seems like.
So, Rams by 7?
I think the line right now, when I pulled it up, was 6.5. I think the Rams cover.
Yeah, I do too. I think they've turned that corner finally after a rough stretch during the year, and they're going to play well.
I probably shouldn't have picked that game until you picked the next game, just to see what your thoughts are on this. All right, so let's.
This could be our biggest upset of the week right here.
Yeah, all right. Packers at the Ravens. Packers are 6.5 point favorites. The Packers, I better not say this too loud. I don't know if Nancy's next door. Nancy's a Bears fan. The Packers whooped the Bears by 15 last week, 45-30. Ravens lost to the Browns. It seemed like they were in control of that game the whole game, and then
let it go.
Lost.
Yeah. You know what? I think this is an easy walk for the Packers, to be honest. I don't think the Ravens, obviously their quarterback's out. May be back. I don't know. Jackson, they're saying his ankle, he's a game time decision. I don't think so. I don't think their other quarterbacks. I think when you come in, you're not prepared for a backup quarterback. They can have some success. If he's the scheduled starter and they've already been
preparing
for him, I don't know that the Ravens. They're not the old Ravens of old. I don't. Even when Jackson's there, he has a tendency to throw him up. If you can stop him and his scrambling, he has a tendency to throw him up in the air and hope for the best. And I think the Packers are a little better now. I think they're a little stronger offensively and defensively at this point.
Yeah, I think if you don't know the team, if you just watch SportsCenter or whatever, all you hear about is Devontae and Aaron Rodgers and Aaron Jones, and that you hear those things. You don't hear about, you were talking about Stafford having his pick sixes. Well, that started with Rasul Douglas and his interception for his pick six for the Packers. The defensive backs for the Packers, and this is without Jair Alexander, the All-Pro, the defensive backs for the Packers have been doing an amazing job, just an incredible job. Linebackers not so much, and the D-line has been doing real well. So one of the things that they have had to face is they've had to face a lot of those scrambling quarterbacks. Kyler Murray.
Sure.
They had to face Russell Wilson. They've had 3 or 4 of them that are those kind of guys, and they have it set up to where they have a stud linebacker that will shadow him. Not allow the whole, rush up the middle kind of thing. So I'm not really worried about Lamar Jackson scrambling, and I'm not really worried about him throwing. I don't think that the Ravens are going to be able to move the ball on the Packers very well. And I don't think there's anybody that can stop the Packers when they're playing the way that they...
I think you're getting your left tackle back too, aren't you? As well?
He has started practicing, but I don't think they've activated him yet. Bakhtiari.
Bakhtiari, yeah.
He hasn't
yeah,
played
I
since
thought I heard that he was actually scheduled possibly playing this
They
week, so.
They showed him coming out of the tunnel and practicing with the team, but he hasn't been activated yet. So
Yeah. I think it's Packers. You can't bet against them right now the way they're playing.
all right, then I don't feel bad for picking your Rams.
Okay, all right.
If I picked the Rams and you came back,
if there's an
Ravens,
opportunity I could pick against the Packers, I'm going to go out there. I just don't think this is the one. So.
Okay. All right. Vikings at the Bears. Vikings are 4-point favorites. They beat the Steelers last week. We already covered that, and we know what the Bears did. Dalvin Cook last week, 205 yards rushing. The Vikings led the Steelers by 29. I thought it was 24 or 26, whatever. They led by 29 late in the third quarter, and then let the Steelers come back on them. So you have Kirk Cousins, who has great numbers. Doesn't have the wins to go with it, but he has great. He's got like 25 touchdowns and 4 interceptions on the year.
I didn't know that.
When you look at his numbers, they look fantastic. They have missed field goals at the end. They give up that touchdown at the goal line at the buzzer a couple of weeks ago.
Sometimes teams are just snake bit. You know what I mean? Whatever you do, you can just see it coming. I'm surprised that they held on against the Steelers last week because of the way they've been snake bit. They're a dangerous team, though. Anytime you can run the ball the way they can with Dalvin Cook, you can beat anybody.
Yeah.
The Bears, right now.
Be careful.
Yes, I know. She might be watching this right now, but I'll root for the Bears.
Okay.
Obviously, they definitely have a problem on offense. It doesn't matter who they put at quarterback. Fields is not getting the job done. He's young. He might be there. He might be that person. So far, I haven't seen him make the decisions. The decision making's been poor, at best. He drops back and you can see fear in his eyes, is what I see. So until they get an offensive line that can protect either him or what's his name from Dalton. Dalton comes in and he struggles. They can do dink and dunk the ball, 5-10 yards, but any more than that, then they're on their backs.
Yeah. So what do you do? I mean, Justin Fields is young. Do you let Andy Dalton do it and let Justin Fields watch and learn? And...
No, the kid needs to play.
Yeah.
You can tell. You take their lumps. They've already committed that far to him anyway. We saw what Dalton did a couple weeks ago. It was just a train wreck. So I think you have to see if Justin Fields is who that player needs to be. You see enough shiny moments, he starts making some smarter decisions. Who knows?
Maybe he gets used to the speed of the game.
He looks way overwhelmed to me
right
now.
For sure.
Yeah. So
they showed him last week against the Packers. They showed him sitting on the sideline so many times, and it was just like, I started to feel bad for him. But I don't really know what's going on out there. But
I noticed he couldn't even keep his head up. I mean, when he dropped back, he looked downfield, and 2 seconds in the drop back, he's already looking at who's coming at him.
Where we're going to go.
Yeah. So no, I think the Vikings take this one.
Yeah, I don't.
It's going to be close. Yeah, maybe a field goal either way.
Well, I hope for Vikings fans, I hope it doesn't come down to a field goal. We all know. Well, actually, either one of them. The Bears were the king of the double donk a couple years ago.
Yeah.
Double doink a couple years ago. So we'll see. All right. Raiders at the Browns. The Raiders, we already mentioned, got whooped by the Chiefs last week, 48-9. Browns edged the Ravens barely. These are two teams that,
you don't know. You don't know what they're going to do.
It's psychological. There's both of them. You go if they would get out of their own heads. I think both of them are very talented. I mean, you've got Baker Mayfield and Jarvis Landry on one side, with Nick Chubb, and on the other side you've got
Josh Jacobs, Derek Carr, and what's the slot guy? The slot guy too. That's their slot receiver. It's knocking it out of the park. You got Waller as the tight end too. So there's talent there.
There's plenty of talent there, and both teams have a good amount of talent on defense. But it just seems like they can't get out of their own way. They just seem to be. Baker Mayfield, Jarvis Landry on the COVID list.
I took this game early in the week with the Browns with like a 4.5 spread. And then, of course, everybody gets COVID. And now I think it's down to 1.5, actually. So, but they're still favorite. Now I would have to lean towards the Raiders. I know Case Keenum's a solid backup. He can throw the ball. He can sling it. But, I don't. And he come in and won again, too. With 18, I think it is now, 18, 19 players.
It's 11, and the head coach. So you got the head coach, you got Mayfield, you got Austin Hooper, their starting tight end, you got Jarvis Landry, their best receiver, you got Tack McKinley, their stud defensive end, a couple of linemen.
That might be too much to overcome. I don't know. They're at home, of course, and the Raiders, you never know what you're going to get. They fumble the first play, pick six. It just seems like you said, they can't get out of their own way. Kickoff return, fumble, it's just in succession, just seems to snowball on them. I'm a Raider fan too, and I'm obviously a Derek Carr fan. I went to Fresno State, and I've always been a Carr fan, but sometimes they just don't seem to know what they're doing. I don't know if it's the coaching or what, but
I like Derek Carr a lot, and I like Jacobs a lot, Waller a lot. I like those guys. I just don't. I think that it's been so tumultuous this year in the Raiders world that I kind of feel a little bit like back in the day when they were the black sheep of the NFL, where at any point anybody on that team could do anything.
Sure. I think they still have that stigma. Obviously there's the accident in Vegas. They just can't seem to find a way to keep their heads clear and think do football. It's the thing that went with Gruden, Coach Gruden as well. I don't know what the deal is. Come to Las Vegas, it just seems to intensify.
Matt Curtis he used to play for the Raiders, and he's the guy that alternates in here from Anderson. And I had asked him about that. I said, "Do you think it was a mistake moving them into Las Vegas, the Raiders into Las Vegas?" And he didn't think so, but I really thought, boy, just like going to South Beach or any of these other ones, there are so many temptations in some of these areas for a young multimillionaire.
I got the best of that one for sure. Ruggs is his career is over. Life's over to some extent. So I'm kind of torn on this one. I've actually after the the points changed, I took another bet. So,
Did
so
you
now I've
really?
got money going both ways with different numbers.
So
but
the line's right in the middle. You're good.
yeah, it's in the middle. I can nail them both. But no, I'll have to take the Raiders on this. I just think the COVID tests are going to impact this team too much.
Yeah, and really, as much as I don't like him because I think he's a head case, Baker Mayfield being out and bringing in Case Keenum, although Keenum is talented, he's certainly not, in my opinion, he's not a leader. We saw him up in Minnesota for a while. I think talent-wise, I think the Raiders have much more. I really hope that they can get their stuff together this week. It's at Cleveland, so the chances are it's going to be cold and nasty. I'm hoping that Josh Jacobs has a big game and Darren Waller is back and healthy. And if that's the case, then I think the Raiders win this.
Yeah, I like I said, I think it's a coin flip, but I'm going to take the Raiders only because of how the COVID's going to affect that team. So
Not because you went to the same school as Derek Carr.
a little biased, no much.
All right, this one, we got to cover it. We have two teams that are completely on the opposite end of the spectrum. You have the 10-2 Cardinals, who have the best record in football, along with the Green Bay Packers.
Duly noted.
Yeah, they played head-to-head, and the Packers won that one.
Duly noted.
And then you got the Detroit Lions, who right now have the number one pick in the draft. They're 1-11-1.
I think the Cards are lucky this week because after what happened last week, if they would have had another tough game, I probably would have bet against them again.
Yeah.
But I said again,
But
because,
they don't.
But they don't. So I think this is a cakewalk for them. It's probably what they need to get their footing back to where it needs to be. I'm a Cards fan too. Obviously, live in Arizona. I became a Cards fan when first Kurt Warner moved over to the Cards. That's when I became a Cards fan as well. But I don't think the Lions have anything for anybody at this point. They're another team that cannot seem to get out of their way. I don't think it's their quarterback's fault. I think it's a multitude of things.
Really?
But
you don't think it's the quarterback's fault?
I think you could put any quarterback in that position past Matt Stafford and would have a 1-11 team.
I don't remember Matt Stafford having any one-win teams this late in the season.
But past that, he obviously could give them 6 wins a year. So
get you enough, give you some hope, and then
I don't know what the deal is with that team. It's they've been like this for 20 years. I think they've had one winning season in the last 15 years. With Matt Stafford here, so it's just a tough situation there, and can't get the players to want to go there. Players play hard. I mean, Campbell's got the team playing hard. It's not from lack of effort, but your talent's not there. Your talent's not there.
Yeah. I thought I read earlier today that Hopkins was out again.
He may be out for the rest of the regular season, is what they're saying with the ankle.
It's too bad because he just came back and was playing really well.
Yeah, and AJ Green has not done very well. I don't know what is. He has not been on the
Seems
same
to be some sort of communication
disconnect there, and I haven't quite figured it out myself either. Because AJ Green was a beast at one time. One of the best receivers in the NFL, and it just seems that since he's gone to the Cardinals, maybe last year as well. I know he had an injury, but he has not shown me anything as a Cardinal. I've seen a couple picks due to his route running.
One that I remember specifically in the last play of the game in the end zone.
They're all staring at each other. So.
Yeah. You know what? I agree with you. I think it's a great time for Arizona to be facing the Lions because this is a get-right game.
Mm-hmm.
I think that they work on some things that they may have struggled with against the Rams, and
it's away. And let's face it, they're playing well away. They're 7-0 on the road, and haven't fared so well at home. So
obviously they could tie a record this week, being 8-0 on the road. That's a record that was held. I think back in the 40s or something like that. I think it was the Bears that set that record, and they have one more road game because they're 17 this year, so they could set the all-time record for that. Is there any? Do you think they cover it? So the line I have is 14.
Yeah,
really?
I think they cover. Yeah, I just think the Lions are inept enough, and the Cardinals are looking to try to bounce back from a tough game. This is their chance to make it right.
I disagree.
Okay.
I mean, they're going to win, but I don't think they cover.
Yeah,
Detroit plays
the Lions have scored a lot in the fourth quarter when they're down by 24, 30. So they may get back to cover, but I wouldn't bet on it.
I don't think they'll bail on this. I don't think Dan Campbell will allow them to bail on this. All right, so that's all of our regular games. You ready to do some rapid fire?
Sure.
Okay. fire match. You just tell me who wins, and if you want to give me like one sentence.
Okay.
All right. Cowboys at the Giants.
Giants are inept. Cowboys cover and keep rolling.
Cover 10.5 points.
Yes, they cover. The Giants are terrible.
Okay. Yeah, and it's a division game.
Yeah.
Panthers at the Bills. The Bills at one time were stomping people pretty good. They've looked kind of, ever since they lost to the Jags, they've been kind of but they do get the Panthers.
And they're going to get well.
Yes.
This is their get well game. Panthers can't seem to get out of their way well. I think even Donald's coming back, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Is it Donald? Darnold.
Oh, Sam Darnold?
Sam Darnold, yeah, Sam Darnold. He's supposed to be back this week. I don't think it makes a difference.
Butt Fumble? Butt Fumble's going to be back?
Yep.
Good for him.
Yep.
All right, probably the worst game of the year. Houston Texans at the Jags. I may tune in just to watch that.
So Urban Meyer just got fired.
Yes.
I know, sometimes the team gets a different coach, an interim coach. They come out, they're fired up. They want to prove that it wasn't them. It was actually the coach. Texans are playing a little better with their quarterback healthy now. So I don't know.
Davis Mills.
Davis Mills, yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I'll jump out on a limb. I'll call Jacksonville. You know.
I agree, Jacksonville probably.
Yeah.
Falcons at the Niners.
As much as I hate to say it, I will say that the Niners are probably going to take this one.
And I don't. The Falcons, to me, I don't know what happened with them again. Same thing, Matt Ryan. To me, Matt Ryan is Derek Carr, only in red instead of black and gold.
Yeah, and they're both of them are fighting for a wild card. They're both in it, but I think the Niners can get physical. I think they'll just physically outmuscle Atlanta.
Yeah, I don't trust anything Atlanta anymore. Yeah. All right, our last one, Saints at the Buccaneers. Buccaneers are 10.5 point favorites. Saints are miserable, other than Alvin Kamara. Taysom Hill, if you try to put Taysom Hill behind center, he's not very good. He's good as a gadget guy. I think the Buccaneers roll pretty easy.
I do too, although the Saints have beaten the Bucs 6 times in a row. Did not know that.
That is done. They didn't do it 6 times with
Tom Brady
behind the helm, right?
And they also had Drew Brees while they were doing that.
Yeah, that helps.
Except for the first game of the year, of course.
Drew Brees,
they stuck it to him pretty good. Yeah, Buccaneers.
Okay, we agree.
All right.
All right. Thanks for hanging in here and doing this with 10 minutes of preparation time.
Hey, I can always talk football. Right?
Yeah, that's right. If you're a true fan, you can always just sit down and talk football. All right, everyone, remember this is brought to you by Anderson Ford here in Bullhead City. I think next week we have Matt Hanrahan, so I think we are going to be filming it on Wednesday and then dropping it on Thursday instead of doing it on Thursday.
Can we make sure that Matt's going to be here at least 15, 20 minutes before, so I don't have to fill in?
I will. Well, I don't know. You did fine, so if it doesn't happen,
time management for me, however.
Oh, you have other things you need to be doing. All right.
Should be something I should have been doing right now too.
All right, everyone. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time in the huddle.
Thank you.